What if I told you that two cheap, over-the-counter amino acids, the kind you can buy at any supplement store, could reverse biological aging at the cellular level? Boost your body's master antioxidant by up to 200%. Increase your cellular energy production by over 50%. Cut inflammation by nearly half. Improve strength, cognition, and metabolism. In not one, not two, but 3 separate human clinical trials. Sounds like snake oil, right? That's what I thought too. But then I dug into the data. And what I found is one of the most compelling, and under-discussed, longevity interventions in the research literature. The combination is called GlyNAC. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what it is, why it works, and whether it's worth your money. GlyNAC stands for glycine plus N-acetylcysteine, 2 simple amino acids that your body uses as the raw building blocks for something critical, glutathione. Glutathione is often called the master antioxidant, and for good reason. It's the most abundant antioxidant inside your cells, and it's involved in detoxification, immune function, and protecting your DNA from oxidative damage. But here's the thing, as you age, your glutathione levels drop by about 10 to 15% per decade after age 40. And oral glutathione supplements. They're poorly absorbed, your digestive system breaks them down before they ever reach your cells. The only reliable way to get glutathione levels back up is to give your cells the precursor ingredients they need to make it themselves. That's the entire premise of GlyNAC. The research comes from a team led by Dr. Rajagopal Sekar at Baylor College of Medicine and Dr. John Ritchie at Penn State, and what they've shown is that GlyNAC doesn't just boost glutathione. It addresses at least 7 of the 12 recognized hallmarks of aging in peer-reviewed human studies. So let's talk about why glutathione matters. Inside every cell, free radicals are generated as a byproduct of normal metabolism, like sparks flying off a grinding wheel. Glutathione is your cell's fire extinguisher. It neutralizes those free radicals, regenerates other antioxidants, and helps your liver detoxify chemical compounds. But as you age, your ability to make glutathione falls off a cliff. By your 70s, levels can be half of what they were in your 20s. And that's directly linked to mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and cognitive decline. Every major aging pathway connects back to glutathione. So finding a way to reliably restore those levels is one of the holy grails of longevity research. Which brings us to the key question, why can't we just take NAC and call it a day? N-acetylcysteine, or NAC, has been used in hospitals since the 1960s. It's the standard treatment for acetaminophen overdose because it rapidly replenishes liver glutathione. And for years, researchers and biohackers assumed that NAC alone was sufficient to boost glutathione in aging. But there was a problem. NAC provides cysteine, which is the first rate-limiting ingredient for glutathione synthesis. But glutathione is actually a tripeptide, 3 amino acids linked together, glutamate, cysteine, and glycine. Once you supply enough cysteine, the next bottleneck becomes glycine. And here's what the research revealed. In aging, glycine levels drop significantly, 15 to 25% lower than in young adults. Your body just doesn't make enough anymore. So if you take NAC without glycine, the extra cysteine gets recycled or excreted instead of being used to make new glutathione. It's like having all the lumber delivered but running out of nails. The GlyNAC combination solves this by giving your cells both rate-limiting ingredients at once, and that's why it produces glutathione increases that NAC alone can't touch. Alright, let's talk numbers. The first human trial was published in 2018, a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled pilot with older adults. After just 2 weeks of GlyNAC, red blood cell glutathione jumped 94%. Oxidative stress markers dropped by 30 to 50%. Then in 2021, a 6-month open-label trial showed glutathione stayed elevated at 1.5 to 2 times baseline throughout the study. Mitochondrial ATP production, your cell's energy currency, increased by 42%. TNF-alpha dropped by 48%, IL-6 by 36%, CRP by 42%. Grip strength improved 8%. Gait speed improved 12%. And cognitive scores improved by 2 to 3 points. Then came the big one, 2023, a randomized controlled trial with 60 participants. The placebo group saw essentially no change. The GlyNAC group. Glutathione up 94%. ATP production up 52%. TNF-alpha down 42%. HOMA-IR, a measure of insulin resistance, dropped 29%. Waist circumference shrank by 4.5 centimeters. Grip strength improved 7%, walking speed 9%. These are real, reproducible numbers from peer-reviewed human trials. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. You might assume that all these benefits come solely from boosting glutathione, and that's definitely a big part of the story. But GlyNAC works through multiple mechanisms. Glycine, on its own, is a critical player in methylation, the biochemical process that regulates DNA repair, gene expression, and neurotransmitter production. It feeds into the one-carbon cycle, which is essential for making creatine, heme, and nucleotides. NAC, meanwhile, modulates inflammation through NF-κB inhibition, and it directly supports mitochondrial health by reducing oxidative damage to mitochondrial DNA. That's why you see such dramatic improvements in ATP production, over 40% in some participants. And here's a detail I find fascinating. In a 2023 trial, researchers measured waist circumference and found an average reduction of 4.5 centimeters in the GlyNAC group while the placebo group gained half a centimeter. That's not from calorie restriction, it's from improved metabolic flexibility, better insulin sensitivity, and reduced inflammation. GlyNAC isn't just an antioxidant. It's a metabolic intervention that touches multiple aging pathways simultaneously. So how do you actually take this stuff? The clinical trials used roughly 100 mg per kilogram of body weight for each component. For a 70 kg person, about 154 pounds, that's about 7 grams of glycine and 7 grams of NAC per day, split into 2 doses. But 7 grams of NAC is a lot for most people. Doses above 2 grams per day often cause nausea. A more practical approach is 3 to 5 grams of glycine twice daily, and 600 to 1200 milligrams of NAC twice daily, taken with food to minimize the sulfur burps NAC is famous for. Glycine is cheap, bulk powder runs about 3 cents per gram. NAC is around 8 to 15 cents per gram. You can buy them separately or find pre-formulated blends. Total monthly cost is roughly $40 to $80. Look for third-party tested brands, and if NAC bothers your stomach, try sustained-release capsules. Let's talk about safety. Across all 3 clinical trials, there were no serious adverse events attributed to GlyNAC. Mild GI issues, nausea, loose stools, were the most common complaint, and they usually resolve quickly. Both glycine and NAC have excellent safety profiles individually. Glycine is FDA designated as generally recognized as safe. NAC has been used as a prescription drug for over 50 years. But there are important caveats. No study has run longer than 24 weeks, so long-term safety beyond 6 months is unknown. There's no dose-response data, we don't know if lower doses work just as well. And the total number of participants across all published GlyNAC trials is under 200. It's promising, but not definitive. If you have active cancer, severe asthma, kidney stones, or take certain medications, talk to your doctor first. GlyNAC is one of the most evidence-backed nutritional interventions for targeting multiple aging hallmarks simultaneously. But it's not a magic pill. It should complement, not replace, good diet, exercise, and sleep. If this breakdown was useful, drop a comment below. Have you tried glycine or NAC, separately or together? I'd love to hear your experience. And if you want more deep dives into longevity interventions where we separate the hype from the actual human data, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. The evidence base is growing fast, I'll be here to help you make sense of it.